From each happily ever after, every wish upon a star. Let's break down the movies that shaped who we are. From memory lane to now and everything in between. The most famous of films to the ones we've never seen. Decade by decade, all the times we laughed and cried, and with a little pixie dust, they will all take flight. Reliving the feelings, and we're trying our very best. And if they mean the same to you, please be our guest. So hop aboard, we would love to have you as we hang with a certain mouth, the whole gang too. If you love nostalgia stuff, we hope this does the trick. Thanks for joining us as we deep dive the magic.
Hi, and welcome back to the Deep Diving the Magic podcast. I'm KJ.
And I am Jeffrey, and we are back today with the 127th Disney feature-length film from December the 17th of the year 1976. It is a film called The Shaggy DA. The Shaggy DA is a sequel to the film The Shaggy Dog, which we watched a number of years ago. It is also the return of many familiar Disney faces and actors that we've had in the past, including Dean Jones, who's returning after 4 years. Suzanne Plachette after 8 years. This also features Tim Conway, Keenan Wynn, Dick Van Patten, Joanne Worley, and others.
But not Tommy Kirk.
Not Tommy Kirk, that is correct. This is also the final film of the legendary Disney director Robert Stevenson, who did 19 films with the company dating back all the way to 1957's Johnny Tremaine, including many on our list upon a star, including Mary Poppins. Would you like to start us off with a quick synopsis about the Shaggy DA?
Wilby Daniels, now all grown up and running for district attorney, finds himself once again turning into a shaggy dog at inopportune moments.
Yeah, I would say it's an inopportune moment.
Bless you.
I just had to sneeze in this moment. So before I turn it over to you for facts or whatever, or opening thoughts. So obviously this is a sequel to The Shaggy Dog, which we watched a number of years ago. I don't actually remember the year that we watched it, but a quick overview of The Shaggy Dog was obviously they stumbled across a ring brooch thing in a museum, and when they read off the inscription on the inside of the ring, Wilby, which is played by Tommy Kirk, then turns into the dog, and the father didn't like dogs, and all of the hijinks ensues.
Yeah.
But this is the sequel to that with some new faces, but lots of famous faces. Any opening thoughts on the Shaggy DA? The 127?
Not really. There were some facts, but they're really not like, I don't know. It's like the 90-second live action Disney film. It is the sequel, like you said, but the other one was 17 years ago. And it's a continuing story of Wilby Daniels, but he's now played by Dean Jones instead of Tommy Kirk. And I guess in the sequel, it's supposed to be 10 years older than, or Dean Jones was 10 years older than Tommy Kirk would have been had Tommy Kirk played the role. I guess it could have made it slightly different. Liam Dunn, he died during the filming of the roller rink sequence, and John Fiddler was brought in to complete the role as dog catcher during that.
Oh,
And then Dean Jones practiced the faces he was making when he pulled into the transformation scenes during the time that he was having his makeup applied.
there you go. Would you like to dive right in?
Yes.
So I'll tell you a quick fact before we dive right in. This film came out on December 17th. So you would think I would have said this is the final film of the year 1976, but it's not because they released two films on the same day. More on that later. But over to you.
Okay. All right, so the film opens up with a cartoon dog singing about running for the Shaggy DA.
Catchy tune.
And you had made a comment about it being a catchy tune when it was playing. We find out that Wilby has grown up and he has become a lawyer since the last film. He also has a family. Then it cuts over to a guy in a Carolina blue shirt walking up to what looks like moving guys, and he serves them a beer and makes a comment about the Daniels finally moving. So we're all under the impression that the Daniels family is moving.
Oh, they had a moving truck out front.
However, returning to the town of Medfield, because we've not been here a bazillion times, from vacation, the Daniels family discovers that they've been robbed, with Wilby yelling, "We've been robbed."
It's true.
Anyway, the father, Wilby, blames District Attorney John Slade, who is a reputed, who is to have reputed connections with organized crime, and then like he's in with this guy, Edward Rorschach.
And do you know how you can tell? Yes, our cat is messing with the tree of life back there. But do you know how you can tell that he is a criminal? Because he's played by Keenan Wynn.
His laugh is not as good as his dad's. Kind of disappointing, actually. Um, so anyway, Wilby's wife encourages him at that point to run for DA, and the guy at the beginning of the film that was in the blue shirt, who served the guys beer, said that he would start his campaign fund. However, Wilby is kind of on the fence about this idea, and he's just like, I don't really know about that. However, that night they are robbed for a second time, along with their neighbor this time.
They steal the clothes that they were wearing.
Yeah.
The,
Left them basically in their underwear, took the covers and everything off of them.
which is so I'm gonna vent about this. Not vent, but two things that jump out at me about this scene, right? Who hangs up their dirty clothes? That was weird. They like they stole it, like they hung it up. And then secondly, these people just got robbed for literally everything that they own. Literally everything, including like the clothes off their backs. Probably like the first time they showed a lady in undergarments on a Disney film. Like that's how much they got stolen. And like, but they were so concerned about
First time.
they were so concerned about running for office. Like there's more important things than you running for office right
A few
now.
movies back, we saw somebody in their undergarments because of them being in the water. This is the movie you didn't like with the Molotovs. What was the name of that? Um,
Oh, the Treasure of Matacumbe.
yeah,
But there was also like that film that we watched, like what was it, like the World's Greatest Father or Super Dad or whatever it was, where like the daughter was just wearing like very revealing bathing suits, but that was not undergarments.
true. Anyway, so yeah, they get robbed. The neighbor gets robbed. And then at this point, that's the pushing point for Wilby to vow that he is going to run for the DA and he's going to make the town safe again. So Wilby is out at what appears to be a grocery store. He's out in the parking lot and he's campaigning. His wife shows up, hands him a broom, and tells him it's to sweep the town clean. Then she tells him that he should kiss the babies, as that is good for votes, but nothing over 16, as that is good for a slap.
It's gross.
And I thought that was kind of funny. I thought she would have cut that down earlier because, I mean, does that mean if you're 15 that nobody's going to get slapped?
Still gross.
I feel like you would. Anyway,
If you kissed my baby and it was like 6 months old, you should still get slapped. That's creepy. But yeah, go ahead.
back in the day it wasn't. Anyway, he then follows through with this, with a mother and her son that's walking out of the store, and this ends up with him being covered in peanut butter and jelly, or at least that's what it looked like. Um, this, ironically, in perfect time, becomes a front page news story with him being the laughingstock at an office meeting that had Kenan Wynn's character in it. I forgot his name already.
The current DA.
Yes. Anyway, meanwhile, the two guys who robbed the Daniels are on tour at a museum and they see the uh what is it, Borgia ring? Is that how they said it?
Borgia,
Borgia ring, okay.
which is the ring from the previous Shaggy Dog
Yeah.
that looks like a bug brooch or something.
It has a beetle on it. Anyway, so they see this ring at the museum on their tour and they assume that it might be valuable. So they steal it.
Because the guy says there's no value on this. It's invaluable. So they take it.
Anyway, in the next scene, we see Brian, which is the son of Wilby, and he is at the ice cream truck. And the ice cream salesman, we learn, is Tim, and he is trying to recall the 44 flavors of ice cream for the boy.
It's played by Tim Conway, who has been a mischief person in a lot of our films we've watched lately.
Yep. However, he could only recall 43 flavors, and he is trying to remember. And the boy tells him that he counted, and he was like, "Well, that was only 43." And he goes, "Oh, I can't remember what 44 was."
Avocado.
Then he finally figures it out, and then Brian decides that I'll just have vanilla.
Yeah, it was like avocado or whatever.
Yeah, can you imagine all of that? And I'll just have vanilla.
I mean, it is his job.
So then when he walks off, he's not even eating vanilla ice cream. He's eating what looks like a chocolate dipped ice cream on a stick that you can get from the grocery store. It wasn't like a hand dipped ice cream that you would think of anyway.
There's also a really important plot point there. Are you still at the ice cream truck or are you moving on?
I'm gonna cover it later if you're talking about the dog.
So yeah, the ice cream dude has a dog.
Yeah, I'm getting there
Okay.
later.
All right.
Um, and Winston is our cat, and here he is. Hello. He's 13 now.
All right, keep going.
Anyway, all right. So the news reporters are at the Daniels home, and they are about to film an interview for the DA campaign. Wilby overhears a news story of the ring being stolen from a museum, and he starts to panic that it's the ring.
It's just a girl climbing out of the TV. Like that ring.
Not that ring. Anyway, he finally explains to his wife what happened to him because of the ring when he was a teenager. His wife laughs it off and tells him it's ridiculous. So she doesn't believe this story about him turning into a dog because of some ring. So anyway, the ring that Wilby is so concerned over is then pawned off to our ice cream salesman, Tim, who just happens to own this dog named Elwood, who is an old English sheepdog. Ironic, right? So anyway.
Yeah, so basically like they're like they go to their mob boss all stoked about this this ring that they stole and the guy's like this isn't worth anything.
Mhm.
You're not gonna get anything for this. So then they were like, all right, so then they go and they make up this whole story about how the ring's worth $500, but they sell it to this poor dude for $5.
Yep. So Tim plans to give the ring to his girlfriend, who is a pastry assistant, we learn, uh, Katrinka. The
Yeah.
interview starts filming back at the Wilby's house, and Wilby's wife is the one that's being interviewed first. And it doesn't really seem to be going that well as the people behind the interview and filming kind of are trying to cut it off to go on over to Wilby because they don't really want to listen to what she is saying. So before Wilby's TV debut for this interview, uh, Tim discovers the inscription on the back of the ring and reads it out loud, causing Elwood to disappear from his truck. So he was in the passenger side seat of the truck and now he's gone. Only to reappear as he takes over poor Wilby's body. What deja vu he must be experiencing. So Brian, the son, is with his dad when this is happening and notices that the shaggy hair is growing all over his dad as he's turning into Elwood. Wilby rushes from the house. Well, technically, they did actually open the door to go get him to interview him, and the son's just standing there with the dog, and the wife's like, "Oh, where's your dad?" And he's like, "Oh, he had to go." And he's like pointing at the dog, like, remember that story Dad told you?
But then like that dude is like talking to the dog and they're like, we keep hearing a ghost.
Yeah, so they're asking questions, and the dog is Wilby, and Wilby is answering the questions, but they don't know it's the dog, so they think they're picking up a ghost from the recording. And then at that point, Wilby in dog form rushes off, um, which he runs into Tim. And Tim cannot figure out how all of a sudden Wilby knows how to speak, or Wilby in the dog form of Elwood knows how to speak. Um, However, the spell wears off and Wilby regains his human form at the most inopportune time for him. He is in a doghouse fighting with a dog named Brutus. He then quickly runs home and gives a quick speech because by the time he gets home, being chased by this dog, the cameramen are out there like, what is going on? So he gives a quick speech on what he aims to do if he is elected as DA. Tim is trying to make money off of Elwood as a talking dog because, I mean, who hasn't seen that before? This doesn't go well for him, and he is no longer inhabited by Wilby. Tim now becomes the laughing stock at the bar where he is trying to make, or he's basically making a spectacle out of himself because obviously his dog cannot talk.
Yeah, it was again.
I don't know why he
Being
would
a
have
nude.
went to the bar to make the money.
He was trying to
I
nude or whatever.
think you could have went anywhere, but he chose to go to a bar. I don't know. Um, so Wilby tells his wife and his son that they have to find the ring before someone else can read the inscription on it, so he doesn't turn into a dog again. So they start looking for it. However, the Admiral, which was the neighbor that also got robbed, shows up at the Daniels home and tells Wilby that he is in charge of overseeing that he shows up to the next event on time, where when he was being interviewed, he obviously was literally running late. We find out that everything that went on, with everything going on, that his wife had forgotten that this next event was happening. Um, and unfortunately, the search for the ring kind of takes back seat because he has to go to this event while he's running for the DA. Unfortunately, during this time, Katarina eventually receives the ring and reads the inscription just as Wilby is at this event, at a women's or a ladies' garden club. And this time, the wife notices the transformation and cuts him off, telling him that he is done, and knocks him to the floor before others can see. However, this is when Wilby realizes that he is transforming again, and a riot ensues as he is trying to escape.
Yeah, because he's like rubbing up against like all like their legs or whatever.
And everybody is just freaking out and screaming, and yeah, quite a spectacle. Okay. Tim finds Wilby in the dog's form and thinks it's his dog and is convinced that his talking dog could make them millions. So um, he is trying to figure this out. He wanders off for a moment, but then Wilby returns to his human form again. So Brian, at this point, he's back on the hunt with his wife again for this ring. Brian visits Tim at the ice cream truck again and tells him that him and his family have been looking for a ring with a beetle on it. Tim thinks this is ironic and tells Brian that he just gave his girlfriend a ring that looked like that. And then he tells him, well, she's not really my girlfriend, but. And then at that point, Brian runs off and says, I gotta tell my dad. And then he calls him a tattletale because I don't know. I guess he didn't want everybody to know she wasn't really his girlfriend. But anyway, whatever. So Brian runs off. Desperate to find the ring, the Daniels run in and hunt to this Katarina down. And we find out that she has lost it in a vat of pie filling.
She's a cook.
She's a pastry person.
Yeah.
Intended for a fundraiser.
For the other dude.
Which happens to be for
Yeah.
Slade,
Yeah.
ironically. Offering a reward for whoever finds the ring, Katarina and her colleagues look for it, eventually turning it into an entire pie fight. There's pies flying everywhere. The reward that was offered was for $2,000. This is something that they all wanted. At the time that this was filmed, a reward, if it was adjusted for inflation for 2022, that would have been worth $10,410. I didn't figure out what it was for today's money, but
Oh,
that would be a huge reward for finding a ring.
probably right.
Anyway, I thought you would find that interesting. So, again, the robbers show up during a pie fight. They're walking outside this building, minding their own business, and all of a sudden, a pie flies out in front of them. So, what would you do in that situation, Jeff?
Depends on what kind of pie.
Okay. These guys get something and stand up on the window where they just saw a pie fly out to see what's going on. Well, they both get pied in the face because why wouldn't they?
Yo, you pied me in the face once, and I
Mhm.
and I bled,
Yeah, well, you pied me in the face too.
but you didn't bleed.
Well, I guess because I did it better. I don't know. Anyway, um, so they take a pie to the face, and then with some luck and irony, or either or both, whichever you like, they find the ring and decide that they're going to sell it again. While attempting to sell the ring, the robber tried to pass it off to an undercover police detective.
Hmm.
So now the police have it in their possession. So, unfortunately, at this point, it ends up at the police station and then it ends up in the hands of the museum again because the professor that worked at the museum is there and he reads the inscription out loud again as a point of reference. And Wilby, who had just arrived there to confirm that the ring had been recovered, finds himself again turning into the Shaggy Dog. Raymond understands what's happening after overhearing the museum's curator. Um, and Raymond is the assistant to the current DA. I guess he's kind of the assistant. Would he be the
That
assistant?
dude's just in every single film we watch now.
Yeah,
Dick Van Patten.
I
He's
don't
in like
get
every film that we watch,
always the assistant.
and he's in the next film that we watch too.
Yeah, isn't he always the assistant
Yeah,
though? Okay.
he's
So
he's like
always
the
the
mole.
assistant.
He's like the mole in every film. Like,
He literally was the mole in that one
yeah,
film.
he is the new whatever comic character, I guess. Like he's in every film that we watch. Dude's in everything
Okay, so anyway,
with his comb over.
he understands what's happening because he's overheard the curator explaining the curse and how the predecessor had mentioned a story about a young man who turned into a sheepdog years before. So he goes and tells Slade this, and Slade doesn't believe him at first. So he invites Wilby to his office to test out this theory. Um, so Wilby goes there, and Slade's basically telling him, like, you need to just pull out of the race, like, you're not going to win. He said, I'm not going to do this. Because after I'm elected, I'm going to make sure that you're investigated regarding your criminal connections, basically. So Slade then reads the inscription because he tells him, I found this ring. I think it's the one you're looking for. And Wilby kind of turns around, like, oh no. And Slade reads the inscription. And then Wilby turns into the dog. And Slade calls out to his assistant, telling him to go ahead and call the dog pound um, or animal control or whatever to come get him. And the assistant says, I've already called them. They're outside waiting.
Well, and like he just like keeps like repeating it over and over again so that that way the dude can't change back.
Yeah. So Wilby escapes out the window of the office building using a rope, and from the film that angle that we saw, it just looks like a man in a dog costume just shimmying his way down a rope. It was quite hysterical because that happened several times during this chase. So running and running and more running, Wilby in dog form then runs into a building where a roller derby match is going on, and Wilby, as Elwood, then somehow ends up in a team uniform because he had found the locker room and joins the roller derby match. So then, once again, you have some weird looking humanoid dog character.
Well,
And
the ice cream truck dude's girlfriend, non-girlfriend, was on the
costume
roller
was
hockey
awesome.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he's skating around, and the guys see him and they're trying to catch him again. And then he runs out of the building and then jumps into the ice cream truck with Tim in the back and he starts driving. So the dog is now driving the ice cream truck. Tim's in the back. He instructs him to start throwing all the stuff out of the back to the police and the animal control who are on their trail. The guy Slade, the other current DA, is just really upset by all of this, and Wilby has given them the slip. So he then asked his assistant how long the professor said the spell would last. The assistant said he never asked, um, which makes Slade very upset. He then starts repeatedly reading the inscription again. This guarantees that the spell will not wear off, and Wilby will be tracked in dog form indefinitely. Is, I guess, his thought process on this. I don't know. So Wilby is still trying to escape from Slade, and Slade has the entire police force and animal control on the trail trying to find him. One of the animal control officers is obviously the voice of Piglet, and it's very funny as he apologizes to Slade for shooting him with a tranquilizer dart meant for Wilby, as for some reason they thought that they would need to dart him to get him out of the tree, when really the tree was only tall enough that they could have literally just walked over and picked up the dog out of the tree. It was like on the first branch. I don't know why they thought they had to shoot it with a tranquilizer, but they did. But they actually shot Slade instead. So it was funny seeing Piglet in human form apologize for that. And he does not look anything like what I thought he would have looked like. So interesting. Um, did you ever think he would look like that?
He's been in other films that we watched so far.
No, but did you feel like that's what the voice of Piglet would have looked like? Uh-huh. Anyway, um, so Wilby's been caught. They take him to the pound. Um, and we find out that he can understand the other dogs, and they pretty much band together to help him escape. But at first, he's like, I can't go with you guys. I'm running for DA. I can't do that. And the dogs don't really realize that Wilby is a human trapped in dog form. So they're just like, oh, this one's special. But eventually, Wilby gets upset enough with everything going on that he's like, no, I'm with you guys. So they all bust out. And then we see animal control officers realize that all the dogs are gone. And then Piglet has to then tell Slade that the dog has once again escaped them. And it's kind of priceless. So Slade is then back on the hunt for Wilby again. I've lost count of how many times he's been trying to find him. And finally, Wilby gets some help from Tim and eventually his son Brian. A bunch of hijinks happens, and Wilby gets the evidence that Slade is connected to organized crime. They get it recorded. Slade keeps reciting the incantation over and over, ignoring his assistant's warnings that in doing so, this could in fact cause the spell or curse to transfer to him. I guess he is like, doesn't care at this point. So Wilby and Tim trick Slade into showing up at Rorschach's warehouse, and Wilby uses a tape recorder to collect all this information and use against him. And uh, when things are not looking so good for him, all of a sudden the dog friends that he escaped with from the pound show up and talk about how they take care of their own, and they had actually found the ring and gave it back to him. And I really enjoyed the little dog that was the boss of everything. Your thoughts? No? Okay.
I mean, Disney likes a good group of dogs.
They do. Um, so anyway, the dog friends show up from the pound. They have the ring, and then we see that Slade that has just read the inscription on from so many times that the curse has now been passed on to him, causing him to transform into a dog, and he is a big bulldog in
We don't
about
see that until the cops are chasing him, though.
yes, well the cops have chased them at this point. And he transforms into a bulldog. Wilby then gets elected as the DA, and then Slade is in jail because he was stopped by the police for speeding when he was a dog. Tim gets engaged to Katarina, obviously not with the beetle ring, and Tim and Katarina adopt all of the dogs from the pound that had helped Wilby escape. And Wilby is celebrating him becoming the DA and tells Tim to make sure to get whatever his friends want, talking about the dogs that had helped him escape. And then Tim tells Katarina that, well, I guess we're going to end up needing to get 16 steaks then. You heard him. The end.
Yeah. Thoughts? Quirky.
It was definitely quirky. I liked it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Um, I guess I don't know. I thought I wasn't gonna like it as much with Tommy Kirk not being in it because I mean he obviously was the main character last time, and it can sometimes be weird when your main character gets recast. But
What's his face was the main character too, Fred McMurray in the last one.
well, the dad, yeah, I didn't even mention Wilby's dad this time. Anyway,
Because he doesn't like dogs.
it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to. Um, it's on Disney Plus, so if you have that, I definitely recommend watching it.
Watch the first one first.
Yeah, definitely watch the first one. But this one's not bad. IMDb gave it a 5.8 out of 10. I gave it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. It had some very good quirky moments. But I don't know if I quite like it enough to knock the Aristocats off.
No, because one of those films knocked the Shaggy dog off your list.
And I think I actually like this one better than the Shaggy Dog.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, my list upon a star is not going to change. So it is 101 Dalmatians, The Parent Trap, Sleeping Beauty, Dumbo, The Apple Dumpling Gang, The Strongest Man in the World, Napoleon and Samantha, Snowball Express, The Jungle Book, and The Aristocats.
Yeah, mine's staying the same too. It was fine of a film, pretty outlandish, but we are on a streak of Outlandia. So my List Upon a Star is currently 101 Dalmatians at number one, followed by Mary Poppins at number two, followed by Peter Pan at number three, followed by Robin Hood at four, Alice in Wonderland at five, Bed Knobs and Broomsticks at six, Babes in Toyland at seven, The Apple Dumpling Gang at eight, Napoleon and Samantha at nine, and then much like KJ, my number 10 on the chopping block is the Aristocats, and we would put that right here. Um, but yeah, so we did it. We watched the Shaggy DA. We've grown from the dog to the DA. Um, and you would think that if we release a film on December 17th, that that'd be the last film of the year. Oh no, because we released another film on the exact same day.
I don't understand why they do that, but okay.
Yeah, so they released another film on the exact same day. And that film, film number 128, also released on December 17th of 1976, is the actual last film of the year 1976. And it is the original Freaky Friday. So we go from watching a sequel to an original.
Now, I have a question.
Okay.
What constitutes, and you might not know the answer, what constitutes this one coming out after the other one? Because
Oh, let me tell you what
look,
constitutes.
if you go by alphabetical order, then that one should have came out first before this one.
Well, let me
If you
tell
if you do
you
it on the same day.
the very important reason, the very set in stone,
Okay.
followed reason is
I'm
because the
listening.
list that we've been following that I found online to watch all these films, it
Put
was
it that
it
way.
was listed that way. So blame them.
How do they know?
I wasn't there.
People that made that list, write to us, please.
Do you know what 1976 was?
Our email is
A bunch of years before I was born.
deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail.com.
Yeah, so the next one that we're gonna watch, film number 128, is Freaky Friday, the original,
Nice.
which is the last film of 1976. But either way, thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you for turning into a dog with us.
Thank you for
Um,
enjoying our cat looking across the screen.
mhm.
It was recently his birthday.
But yeah, so we are on Instagram at Deep Diving the Magic. Come say hello. We are on Spotify and YouTube. Deep Diving the Magic. If you would like to give us a thumbs up, a comment, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Tell somebody fun. And yeah, if you want to send us a message at deepdivingthemagicpod@gmail.com, be happy to hear it.
Specifically, if you made that list, we want to know how you put this in front of the other one. Just curious.
We're following this master list. It's important.
I
But either
want to know.
either way,
If the people that made that list
either way,
are watching, I would like to know.
thank you for hanging out with
Thank
us.
you.
We'll be back next time for Freaky Friday, and we look forward to seeing you then.
Thanks for deep diving the magic.
Bye.
Bye.